just one short question about the mainly statistical challenges in an adaptive platform trial. So I mean that it's based on the data evaluation. So my question is, and it's also from the chat, how often the interim analysis of the data are put during the platform trial, and also how the quality of the data are checked during the platform trial. So maybe for Lenny or Marius, or who want to answer?
Yeah, so I can answer from how we do that in REMAP-CAP. So because we were already recruiting before the pandemic, we already had the system for the adaptive analysis set up. Obviously, if you're going to have a high recruitment rate, then you have to have them more frequently. So we now have what we then call adaptive analyses every 4 weeks. We have a data safety and monitoring board that reviews all the data. They're unblinded. And as was suggested in the last presentation, we don't have a blinded and an unblinded statistician. We have blinded and unblinded statistical teams because the trial is so huge, working across so many countries and so many sites and so many domains. So they review all the safety data, and they review all the interactions between the domains, which is very important. And so we are even kept blinded to the response adaptive randomization weights, because that would be potentially unblinding if we knew how many patients were assigned to each treatment within a domain. If we have a lot of patients included to one arm, we could draw from that's a promising intervention. So we are kept completely blinded to that. So they perform all the analysis, and when we hit a pre-specified platform trigger, that is when the DSMB informs the International Trial Steering Committee of REMAP-CAP about that. There has never been a safety signal that we were informed about, but obviously they would do the same if there was a safety signal.
Yeah, thank you. For the SOLID Act, the similar approach is planned, Marius?
Oh, we do not plan too often to have efficacy analysis. It will be more safety monitoring, at least in the beginning. We might want to have some efficacy analysis on baricitinib after a few hundred patients, because there is a potential signal in the Eli Lilly trial that was published just recently. But by default, the interim analysis will be on safety.
Yeah, okay.
Can I add one thing, Regina? Because I think, so we now have a domain, it's called the ACE2 RAS domain. It investigates ACE inhibitors and ARBs for COVID-19. And what's very elegant is we've been able to build kind of a seamless phase 2, phase 3 design, where we first assess, the safety and the fact that these interventions have to show kind of some promise of a clinically relevant outcome before we include hundreds of patients into the trial. So we have limits set for that and rules set for that. And the trial data now first have to fulfill those phase 2 rules. If they do that, we then just go on recruiting. And then we are in a phase 3 trial where the platform conclusions, like for the other domains, will be implemented. So I think it's very elegant.
Many challenges, yeah. So maybe from UCL, some practical aspects of data handling and data management on the CTU, but please shortly.
You do need to think quite carefully about this. If you've got a platform trial running with a control arm, you need to be careful when you're data cleaning that you data clean fairly across all arms. So we haven't come up with a brilliant solution for this, but when you're cleaning, it's best if you clean all arms at the same time. If you just clean the comparison you're analysing, then the control arm gets cleaned far more often than the other arms. And so you might be bringing some bias in there.
We also have I will put this in the chat. We have another publication that is specifically looking at the development of the data management systems for Stampede and Focus4, both in terms of the setup of the database and also the activities relating to the data cleaning and the database locks for each interim analysis. So I will publish the link for the publications in the chat so that everyone can look that up too.
Nice. Thank you very much also for this information. So